I was standing in my daughter's doorway when she said it. The words that finally broke me. I wish you died like Mom. Her voice was sharp, a blade cutting through the air. Her face, twisted with rage, looked so much like her mother's that it physically hurt to see. But it wasn't just anger. There were tears in her eyes, 17 years old, caught between girl and woman, and every ounce of her fury was aimed at me. Behind her stood Trent. His manicured hand rested on her waist like he owned her. His cashmere sweater probably cost more than I made in a week. And he smiled, smug, satisfied, like this was a show he'd been waiting for. Vera deserves a real father, Trent said, his voice dripping with contempt. His eyes scanned my oil-stained uniform, the warehouse badge still clipped to my collar. Not some broke loser who loads trucks for a living. My father says success is a choice, Mr. Cordell. Maybe you should have made better ones. I wanted to put my fist through the wall. Instead, I stood there frozen, my chest tight, watching my only child choose this arrogant boy over me. The man who raised her alone for 10 years. The man who held her through nights of screaming nightmares, when she cried that mommy wasn't coming home. The man who learned to braid hair from YouTube tutorials and sat through every school play, every soccer game, every recital. And it wasn't enough. Get out of my house. I finally managed. My voice sounded hollow, even to me. Gladly. Vera's reply was spit and venom. She grabbed an overnight bag I hadn't noticed before. Already packed. Planned. Trent's family cares about my future, she snapped. They're taking me to tour Whitmore University this weekend. You know, the school I got into but can't attend because my father's a failure. The word cut deeper than any knife. Failure. They left together. Trent's BMW purred in the driveway, mocking the rusted-out pickup I parked beside it. And then the house went quiet. Too quiet. The kind of silence that presses on your eardrums until it feels like you're underwater. My father, Earl, was at bowling league. He wouldn't be home for hours. So it was just me and the echo of her words. I wish you died like Mom. My legs carried me to the bedroom closet on their own. I pushed aside dusty photo albums filled with smiles that felt like they belonged to another man. Behind them was the lockbox, the one I swore I'd never open again. The key trembled in my hand. The lid creaked open. Inside lay my service revolver. Cold steel. Heavy, heavier than I remembered. 6 bullets, more than enough. I sat on the edge of the bed, staring at it. 10 years of failure. 10 years of grief. 10 years of watching my daughter slip further and further away. Maybe she'd be better off without me. I drove to Silver Creek Bridge. The new one. The one they built after the collapse. The one they said was stronger, safer. A monument to the 12 who died that night, including Nadia. My Nadia. The river below shimmered with the reflection of streetlights, jagged like broken glass. I parked at the overlook. The revolver sat on my lap. I pulled a crumpled receipt from the glove box, grabbed a pen, and started to write. Vera, I'm sorry I couldn't be the father you deserved. The insurance money should cover college. Despite everything, I love you, Dad. The pen shook in my hand. My throat burned. The barrel pressed cold against my temple. My finger tightened on the trigger. This would solve everything. Her future, my pain, the end. The decision was made, and then my phone buzzed. An international number lit up the screen. Colombia. For a second, I thought maybe this was death itself, calling to escort me across. I almost let it ring. But something, curiosity, fate, desperation, made me lower the gun and swipe the screen. Is this Mason Cordell? A man's accented voice asked. Yeah. Who's this? My name is Ramon Vega. I am a private investigator calling from Bogota. Please do not hang up. This is about your wife. About Nadia. My chest clenched. The gun nearly slipped from my hand. If this is some kind of scam... It is no scam, Mr. Cordell. Please listen to me very carefully. Your wife did not die in that bridge collapse. She is alive. The world tilted sideways. The gun slipped onto the passenger seat. Alive? The word spun inside my head, colliding with memory, with grief, with disbelief. Alive. And for the first time in 10 years, I wasn't sure what was real anymore. Alive. That word echoed louder than the storm winds that used to whip across this river. I sat there in the truck, revolver on the seat, the receipt with my suicide note half written, staring at the glowing screen pressed in my ear. My wife's been dead 10 years. I whispered, barely able to breathe the words. I buried her. I watched them pour concrete for the memorial with her name on it. On the other end, Ramon's voice was steady, calm, like a man who's delivered impossible truths before. Mr. Cordell, I know this is hard to believe, but your wife, Nadia, did not die that night. She was taken, hidden. I have been following her case for years. My pulse thundered in my ears. The bridge outside the windshield blurred, as if my eyes couldn't decide if it was real anymore. Prove it, I snapped. Send me something. A photo, anything. There was a pause. Then a ping. A message came through. I swiped the screen with shaking hands. The photo was grainy but clear enough. A woman in a bare room, sitting on a metal chair. Hair darker, longer. Cheeks hollowed, but her eyes? God, those eyes. Brown like fresh coffee. Eyes I hadn't seen since the night she kissed me goodbye. It was Nadia. My breath caught in my throat. My fingers went numb around the phone. She's alive. I choked out. Yes, Ramon said quietly. But she is not safe. The people who took her, they will not let her go without money. Much money. I pressed my palms against the steering wheel, trying to anchor myself in reality. 10 years I told Vera her mother was gone. 10 years I told myself the same, just to survive. And now, in the same night my daughter wished me dead, I was being told my wife still breathed. My reflection in the windshield looked like a ghost. Pale, eyes sunken, a man caught between worlds. I opened the glove box, pulled out the half-written note, and stared at it. My final goodbye. My surrender. I crumpled in my fist. Not yet. Not tonight. Where is she? I demanded. My voice shook, but I didn't care. Tell me where Nadia is right now. I cannot say over the phone, Ramon replied. But I will tell you this. She has been waiting. She still speaks your name. My hand went instinctively to the revolver, but this time I shoved it back into the lockbox, slammed the lid, and turned the key. For the first time in years, the gun felt useless. Not a way out, but a chain holding me down. The bridge outside loomed like a grave marker, reminding me of the night everything ended. But maybe it hadn't ended at all. Maybe it had only been waiting, buried under lies. The phone trembled in my hand as I whispered into the dark. What do I have to do to bring her home? The cab of my truck smelled like gun oil and old coffee, but suddenly it felt too small, too suffocating. My knuckles whitened around the phone. You can't just call a man and tell him his dead wife's alive, I growled. You'd better start explaining before I hang up. Ramon didn't flinch. His voice was low. Even, Senor Cordell, your wife Nadia was not on that bridge when it collapsed. That was no accident. It was a convenient cover. Men who wanted her, men connected to her family's debts, used that night to take her. The words hit me like a sucker punch. Debts. Yes. Her uncle in Bogota owed money. Dangerous people. Nadia was collateral. I shook my head violently, like I could fling the idea out of my skull. No, you're lying. I saw her purse. They found it in the wreckage. Ramon's reply was quiet, deliberate. Of course they did. They wanted you to believe she was gone. They needed you to stop looking. The bridge outside blurred again, this time with tears. My heart slammed against my ribs. 10 years. 10 birthdays. 10 Christmases. 10 nights of telling my little girl that Mommy was in heaven, while she might have been locked in some hellhole waiting for me. Why now? I demanded. Why after all this time? There was a pause. Then Ramon said, because Nadia reached me, she slipped a message out. A miracle, really, and because her captors are moving her again. If we do not act soon, she will disappear. Forever. The last word cracked something in me. Forever. I pictured Vera's face. The way she looked at me tonight. like I was already a ghost. And I pictured Nadia's face in that photo, tired, fragile, but alive. Still alive. What do you want from me? My voice came out hoarse, broken. Ramon didn't sugarcoat it. $15,000. That is the price to secure her release. I will arrange the transport, but you must act quickly. 72 hours. After that, she will vanish into the system, and I will not be able to find her again. 15,000. The number echoed in my skull like a death sentence. I had less than 1,000 in my savings account. My credit cards were maxed out, just keeping the lights on. The warehouse barely paid enough to keep food on the table. I don't have that kind of money, I whispered. Then find it. Ramon snapped, the first crack in his calm. This is your wife's life. I risked everything to get this chance. Do not waste it. The line went silent. My pulse pounded. My mind raced. 15,000. 3 days. My wife's life. I leaned forward, pressing my forehead against the steering wheel, the cold metal grounding me. I wanted to scream, to punch the glass, to beg the universe for mercy. But all I could do was sit there, trembling, as the phone slipped from my hand onto the passenger seat beside a gun I'd almost used to end it all. I stared at them both. The weapon that would have killed me. The device that just told me Nadia might still live. Death or life. Despair or hope. 2 choices. And somehow, hope felt heavier. I shoved the gun back into the lockbox, slammed it shut, and told myself one thing. If Nadia's out there, if she's still breathing, I will find a way. I don't care what it costs. The bridge loomed in the rearview mirror as I drove away, headlights cutting into the night. 10 years of grief had ended here once. Now, maybe 10 years of lives were ending too. I just didn't know yet if I was strong enough to survive the truth. I used to think memories fade, that time sands down the sharp edges until what's left is something soft, bearable. But not that night. Not the night Nadia never came home. It was 10 years ago, and I can still smell the rain. Heavy, relentless, slamming against the windows like fists. Silver Creek was already swollen, angry from weeks of storms. The bridge groaned under the weight of every car that dared cross. Nadia had kissed me goodbye in the doorway. Her perfume lingered on my shirt long after she left. She was driving to her sister's house. Just across town. Just a quick trip. She promised she'd be back before midnight. I remember holding Vera, only 7 years old, wrapped in her pajamas, watching cartoons while thunder rolled outside. She hated storms, always had. Nadia was the one who calmed her, stroking her hair, humming those little Colombian lullabies. That night, it was just me. I kept telling her mommy would be home soon, that she was safe, that she always kept her promises. But promises are fragile things. The call came just after 10. Static, panic in the dispatcher's voice. A collapse. The bridge was gone. Dozens of cars had gone with it. I remember the way my chest caved in, like someone had kicked me with steel boots. I remember Earl, my father, driving me to the site because I was too out of my mind to steer. I remember clutching Vera in the back seat, whispering, "No, no, not her, not Nadia." Like if I said enough times, the universe would bend, but the universe doesn't bend. It breaks. The scene was chaos. Red and blue lights cut through the storm. Sirens screamed against the thunder. People shouted names into the dark, voices hoarse with desperation. Rescue crews pulled twisted metal from the black water below, searching for survivors. I remember standing at the guardrail, rain drenching me, screaming Nadia's name until my throat tore. They never found her body, just her purse, waterlogged, straps ripped. Inside was her ID, some cash, and the photo of her holding Vera at the fair, the one we'd taped to the fridge. The sheriff put his hand on my shoulder, told me it was better this way, that sometimes bodies were swept downstream, that closure could come without a coffin, but there's no closure in emptiness, only doubt, only nightmares. I had to sign the papers. Presumed dead. That's the phrase they use. Cold, legal, final. I remember Vera clinging to me that night, her small body shaking with sobs. "Daddy, when's Mommy coming back?" And I had no answer. I couldn't lie, but the truth was unthinkable. So I just held her, rocking in the dark, both of us drowning in a silence no storm could match. That was the night the light went out of our house. The night our laughter died. The night I learned grief doesn't stop at sadness. It corrodes, it poisons. It hollows you out until you're just bones walking around. For years, I dreamed of her voice. I'd wake up to the sound of her calling my name, swear I heard her footsteps in the hall. Ghosts, I thought, just ghosts. But now, 10 years later, a stranger was telling me it wasn't a ghost at all. That maybe the night Nadia never came home wasn't the end. That maybe, just maybe, it was the beginning of a nightmare I never understood. Grief doesn't end. It just changes shape. In the days after Nadia's death, it was raw, a wound that never stopped bleeding. In the months, it was a hollow ache. In the years, it calcified, turning into something heavier, something that bent my back and slowed my step. But the hardest part wasn't carrying it myself. It was carrying it for Vera, too. She was 7 when her mother died. 7 years old, with eyes too big and questions too sharp. Why did God take Mommy? When is she coming back? Why didn't you save her, Dad? Every question cut me open. I didn't have answers, only half-truths. And every time I stumbled, she seemed to retreat further away from me. At first, she clung to me like a lifeline. She'd curl up in my bed, cry into my chest, begging me not to leave her too. I swore to her I wouldn't. I swore until my voice broke. But grief changes children. It makes them older than they should be. And little by little, Vera stopped coming to me for comfort. She grew quiet, then cold, then sharp. By the time she was 13, she'd started looking at me the way I used to look at mirrors, with disappointment. Maybe I didn't help my case. I worked myself into the ground. When the factory shut down, I swallowed my pride and took the warehouse job. Long hours on my feet, unloading trucks for barely enough pay to keep the lights on. My father, Earl, did what he could. He cooked. He kept Vera company when I pulled doubles. He tried to fill in the gaps. But he was a grandfather, not a mother, and not the father she wanted. She wanted the man I used to be, before the storm, before the collapse. The man who laughed easy, who danced in the kitchen with her mother, who planned road trips and scraped together fare tickets. That man was gone. All she had left was me, the tired version, the bitter version, and kids don't forgive that. By high school, Vera hated our life. The cracked walls of the house, the squeal of the old pickup, the way my boots left mud by the door. She hated the hand-me-down clothes I bought at Goodwill, the empty fridge before payday, the way I could never give her what other kids had. And then Trent appeared. Trent, with his rich boy charm, his fast car, his watch that cost more than my monthly paycheck. He gave her shiny things I couldn't afford, attention I couldn't match, a future she thought I could never provide. When she looked at him, I saw something in her eyes I hadn't seen in years. Hope. When she looked at me, I saw something worse than hate. I saw shame. By the time she was 17, Vera had learned to weaponize her words. She knew where to cut, where to stab, where to twist. You're pathetic. You're holding me back. You'll never be anything. I tried to tell myself it was just anger, just a phase. Teenagers lash out. They grow up. They come back. But every insult chipped away at me until there was almost nothing left. And then came the night in her doorway. The night she screamed that she wished I died like Mom. I thought I'd hit rock bottom before. But that night proved there's always another level down. Always a deeper pit waiting for you. What I didn't know then, what neither of us knew, was that the woman we were fighting over wasn't gone. She was still out there. And the fight to bring her back was only just beginning. I didn't sleep that night. I sat in the truck by the bridge, headlights off, rain drizzling against the windshield, staring at the phone like it was some kind of portal. Alive. That word kept circling in my head, mocking me, torturing me, saving me. Just before dawn, Ramon called again. His tone was sharper this time, urgent. "Senor Cordell, You must listen carefully. I can only risk this once. She is here. I will let you hear her voice." My hand shook so badly I nearly dropped the phone. "You expect me to believe you? You expect me to think after 10 years. But then I heard it. A faint rustle, the scrape of movement, and then, "Mason?" Her voice. I swear the world stopped spinning. 10 years, and I knew it instantly. Low, soft, with that hint of an accent she never lost no matter how long she lived in America. It was her, Nadia. I pressed the phone hard against my ear, tears already burning my eyes. "Nadia, oh my God. Nadia, is it really you?" "Mason, it's me." She was crying, her words trembling. "I don't have long. They don't know I'm speaking to you. I thought I would die before hearing your voice again." Every memory came flooding back at once. Her laughter in the kitchen, her lullabies to Vera, her hands slipping into mine in crowded rooms. "It can't be," I whispered. "I buried you. I never stopped thinking of you." She cut me off, desperate, as if she knew I might not believe. "Do you remember the gumball machine? The night you proposed? You had no ring, just that silly red candy ball you pulled from the slot. You got down on one knee in the rain and said, 'This is all I have, but if you take it, I'll find a way to give you everything.'" I closed my eyes. My chest collapsed. No one knew that but us. It was her. Nadia. My voice broke. "Vera, our little girl. She's 17 now. She's beautiful. She looks just like you." Her sobs filled the line. "I dream of her every night. Please, Mason, don't let them take me away again." The phone crackled. Then Ramon's voice cut back in. "You see? It is her. There is no time. We must move fast. You must find the money." I tried to speak, but the words tangled in my throat. I'd spent 10 years learning how to live with ghosts. Now the ghost had spoken, and she was alive. The line went dead. I sat there gripping the phone like it was a lifeline, my chest heaving, heart pounding so hard I thought it would crack my ribs. The revolver was still locked in the box. The note still crumpled in my pocket. Both useless now. I had only one mission left: bring Nadia home. By morning, my hands still shook. I hadn't slept a second. I replayed that call again and again in my head. Nadia's voice, her sobs, her memories only she and I knew. It was real. It had to be. But grief is a cruel liar. I kept asking myself, had I imagined it? A hallucination conjured by 10 years of guilt and pain? That's when Ramon called again. "Senor Cordell," he said, his tone clipped, urgent, "I have sent you something. Look at your messages." I fumbled my phone open. A new photo, clearer than the last. Nadia, holding a piece of cardboard. On it, scrawled in thick marker, were the words, "Vera, 17. My breath stopped in my throat. My knees buckled. She knew. She knew our little girl was 17 now. That was no ghost. That was proof. She wrote that herself? I asked, my voice breaking. "Yes," Ramon said, "just hours ago. She wanted you to see. She wanted your daughter to know she has never forgotten her." I sank onto the couch, the phone trembling in my grip. For the first time in years, hope felt like a living thing inside me, burning, terrifying, blinding. But then Ramon's tone hardened. "We have very little time. The men who keep her, they move their captives constantly. They do not let them stay long in one place. I was able to bribe one of their guards, but soon Nadia will vanish again. I cannot follow her twice. This is the only chance." I forced myself to breathe. "Tell me what to do." "You must raise the money," he said flatly. $15,000. Cash, no paper trail. If you deliver it to me within 72 hours, I can make the exchange and get Nadia out. The words landed like a hammer. 15,000. That was more than I made in 6 months. More than I had ever held in my hands at once. "I don't have it," I admitted, my throat tight. "I can't. I don't have anywhere near that." "Then find it," Ramon snapped. "Borrow. Sell. Steal if you must. This is not a game. Senor Cordell. If you fail, Nadia will be gone. And this time, it will be forever. The line went silent. I stared at the photo on my screen. Nadia's eyes. Tired but alive. The cardboard with our daughter's name scrawled across it. It wasn't a hallucination. It wasn't a trick of grief. She was alive. And her life depended on me. The revolver in the lockbox. The crumpled suicide note. Last night, they had seemed like my only way out. Now, they were reminders of the man I could no longer afford to be. I had 72 hours to raise $15,000. And failure was not an option. 15,000. 3 days. The number clawed at my skull with every tick of the clock. I tore through every drawer in the house, flipping through old bills, long-expired credit cards, useless stubs of paychecks that wouldn't even buy a tank of gas. I checked my bank account. $914. That was it. I sat at the kitchen table, head in my hands, staring at the cracked linoleum like it held the answer. It didn't. There was only one option. The one I swore I'd never take. Richard Holly, Trent's father, the man with the mansion on the hill, the car collection worth more than our entire street, the smug smile of a man who'd never worked a day in his life. He despised me, and the feeling was mutual. But he had what I didn't. Money. I called him. It took 3 tries before he answered. Cordell, he said, voice thick with disdain. Do you know what time it is? I need to see you. I said, my throat tight. Tonight. Silence. Then a low chuckle. This about Vera? She's already made her choice, son. My boy treats her better than you ever could. Don't embarrass yourself. It's not about Vera, I snapped. It's about Nadia. Another pause, sharper this time. I'd gotten his attention. Fine, he said finally. Midnight. My office. His office was less a room and more a cathedral to wealth. Walls lined with books I doubted he'd ever read. A desk the size of a car, polished until it gleamed. The air smelled of leather and old whiskey. Richard Holly sat behind the desk, sipping from a crystal glass, his silver hair perfectly combed, his cufflinks catching the light. He looked like a man carved from money itself. Now, he said, leaning back, what's this about your wife? I pulled out my phone and slid it across the desk. The photo of Nadia filled the screen, her eyes, her face, the cardboard sign. Richard picked it up, raised an eyebrow, and studied it far too long. His lips twitched. Almost a smirk, but not quite. Well, I'll be damned, he murmured. She's alive. I leaned forward. I need 15,000. Cash. In 72 hours. Or I lose her again. He looked at me like I was a beggar on the street. $15,000? That's pocket change. Why should I give it to you? Because Vera deserved her mother back. I shot back, my fists clenched. Because you've taken enough from me already. Don't take this too. He swirled his whiskey, amused. Still so much pride for a man with nothing. You think you're better than me, Cordell, but you're the one standing in my office begging. I'm not begging, I growled. I'm making a deal. My house. The deed's clean. You give me the money, I sign it over. Tonight. His eyes flicked up, measuring me. For the first time, I saw a calculation replace smugness. Your house, he repeated. That little shack you call a home. Worth maybe half what you're asking. It's all I have. He sipped his drink, watching me squirm. Then, slowly, he smiled. You've got guts. I'll give you that. Fine. I'll take your house. I'll give you 20,000 to make sure there are no hiccups. But when this is over, Cordell, you and your daughter will have nothing. Do you understand? Nothing. I swallowed the acid in my throat. If it brings Nadia home, I don't care. His smile widened. Good man. Or maybe just a desperate one. He poured himself another drink. The money will be ready tomorrow. Don't make me regret this. I left his office with a folder of paperwork under my arm and a knot in my gut. I just sold the only thing Nadia, Vera, and I still had. But if it meant getting her back, it was a price I was willing to pay. I looked up at the night sky as I climbed into my truck. For the first time in a decade, I whispered a prayer. Please, let this work. Time is cruel when you're waiting for something you can't control. Every hour feels longer than the one before. The money was secured. Richard's lawyers worked fast, too fast, like they'd done it before. A manila envelope stuffed with bills sat hidden beneath the floorboards of my bedroom. $20,000. More than I'd ever seen in one place. More than I'd ever touch again. It should have felt like hope. Instead, it felt like a coffin waiting to be nailed shut. Ramon hadn't called since the photo. 3 days to get the cash together, he'd said. Then silence. I carried the phone everywhere, to work, to the bathroom, to bed. Every vibration made my heart leap. Every hour without a call made me want to throw it through the wall. Vera noticed. She wasn't stupid. "Why are you twitching like a crackhead?" she snapped one morning, slinging her backpack over her shoulder. "Just tired," I muttered. "Long shifts." "Uh-huh." She narrowed her eyes. "And where'd that envelope come from?" "The one you shoved under your arm last night." My chest tightened. "Don't go snooping in my business, Vera." She rolled her eyes. "Everything's a secret with you." "No wonder, Mom." She stopped herself. The word Mom hung between us like smoke. For the first time in years, she looked almost guilty. Almost. I wanted to tell her the truth. I wanted to grab her shoulders and say, "She's alive. Your mother's alive. And I'm going to bring her home." But if I was wrong, if this was some cruel trick, I couldn't rip Vera open like that again. So I stayed silent. Let her think I was hiding debts or gambling or God knows what. At least anger was easier for her to carry than false hope. Nights were worse. I'd sit at the kitchen table with the revolver in front of me, the envelope beside it, the phone between them. My whole life reduced to 3 objects. Sometimes I thought about calling the police, telling them everything, handing over the photo, the messages, the money, let them deal with it. But then I'd hear Nadia's voice again in my head, trembling, desperate. "Please, Mason, don't let them take me away again." No, this wasn't something I could risk with red tape and procedure. This was on me. On the second night, Ramon finally called. "Are you ready?" he asked. I swallowed. "Yes, I have the money." "Good," he said. "Do not tell anyone. Not your family. Not the police. If they find out, she dies. Do you understand?" "I understand. There will be instructions. You must follow them exactly. One mistake, and Nadia is gone." The line clicked dead. I stared at the phone in my hand, heart hammering. My life had shrunk down to waiting for a stranger's next call. On the 3rd day, Vera cornered me in the doorway before school. "You're hiding something," she said flatly. "And don't tell me it's nothing. You've been pacing, jumping at shadows, staring at your phone like it's going to explode." I forced a smile. "I'll explain when the time's right." Her jaw clenched. "Yeah, that's what you always say." Then she was gone, leaving the door swinging behind her. I stood there in the silence, gripping my phone so tightly my knuckles whitened. The waiting was almost over. Soon, I'd have to make the trade. And if Ramon was lying, I'd lose Nadia all over again. The instructions came at midnight. A text. No name. No number I recognized. Just words. Midnight. Route 7. Old Mill parking lot. Come alone. My hands trembled as I read it. I sat in the dark, the revolver heavy in my pocket, the envelope heavier under my arm. I told myself 100 times this could be a trap, that Ramon might never show, that I might drive out there and hand over the last piece of my life for nothing. But Nadia's voice echoed in my head, soft, desperate. "Don't let them take me away again." That was enough. The parking lot at the old textile mill was a graveyard of cracked pavement and weeds. The moon hung low, fat and yellow, casting long shadows across rusted machinery that hadn't worked in decades. I pulled in, headlights cutting through the dark, killed the engine, waited. The envelope sat on the passenger seat, like it was alive. I kept glancing at it, then at the mirrors, scanning for movement. Nothing. Minutes crawled. My chest tightened. Every second without headlights made me want to turn the key and run. Then I saw it. A pair of headlights in the distance, bouncing down the cracked road. A beat-up sedan pulled in across the lot and idled, its engine low and rough. The driver's door opened. A man stepped out, short and wiry, a shadow beneath the hood of a sweatshirt. I couldn't see his face, but his movements were sharp, cautious. He raised a hand. I raised mine back. Then he started walking. "Senor Cordell?" His voice carried across the lot, hushed but urgent. "Ramon," I said, gripping the envelope tight. "Yes," he nodded quickly. "I don't have long. Do you have the money?" I swallowed. My throat was dry. I opened the truck door, stepped out, the revolver pressing against my ribs from inside my jacket. "It's here," I said, holding up the envelope. His eyes flicked to it. "Hungry?" He took a step closer. "Good. Very good. Please, give it to me and I will—" "Not yet," I snapped. My voice was sharper than I intended. "I want proof. I want to hear her again. Or see her. Something. Before I hand this over." He froze, looked around nervously. Then he dug into his pocket and pulled out a phone. He fumbled, tapped the screen, then thrust it toward me. On it was a video. Nadia. Her face was pale, her hair longer, streaked with gray. But it was her. She was sitting in a bare concrete room, holding a folded newspaper. The date was yesterday's. "Mason," she whispered, looking straight into the camera. "It's me. Please. Trust him. Please bring me home." The video ended. My knees nearly gave out. It was her, alive. Yesterday. I shoved the envelope into Ramon's hands before my doubt could claw back in. "Take it. Just bring her back." He clutched it to his chest, eyes darting like a cornered animal. "I promise you. Soon. But you must trust me. They did not let her go easily. I need more time." "More time." My voice rose. "You said this was it." "Sure." He hissed, backing toward the car. "Please, Senor Cordell. Believe me. This is the only way." And then he was gone, sprinting across the lot, diving back into the sedan, tires screeching as he tore into the night. I stood there alone, the cold air burning my lungs, my hands shaking so hard I thought they'd break. I'd just given away everything I had. My house, my future, my last chance. All I had left was hope, and the hope that he wouldn't vanish into the night with it. The night after the drop, I sat in my truck until the sun came up. No call, no text, nothing. Ramon had promised soon. Soon as in hours, days, weeks. My mind chased itself in circles, gnawing on that one word until it lost meaning. I drove home, collapsed into a chair, and stared at the phone on the table. I didn't move, didn't eat, didn't sleep. Every buzz that wasn't from him. Work, spam calls, wrong numbers, sent my blood spiking and crashing all over again. By the second day, paranoia set in. Had I been conned? Had he run with the money, leaving me the cruelest proof-of-life trick in history? The video was real, had to be. Nadia had said my name, held yesterday's paper, looked straight at me through the screen. But what if it was old? What if she was gone already, and I was just too blind to see the con for what it was? The questions chewed me apart. Vera caught me at the table, slouched over my phone with bloodshot eyes. "Jesus, Dad, you look like hell." I didn't look up. "Go to school." She frowned. "You haven't been to work in 2 days. You're not answering Earl's calls. What the hell's going on?" I clenched my jaw. I said, "Go to school." Her voice sharpened. "Are we losing the house? Is that it? You gambling or drinking, or what are you hiding?" The words hit harder than I wanted to admit. Losing the house. She didn't know how right she was. I shoved the phone into my pocket and stood, glaring down at her. "Not your business." "Everything's not my business with you," she shot back, eyes blazing. "You lock yourself away, you lie, you stew. You've been doing it my whole life." No wonder. She cut herself off, but I knew the word that was coming. No wonder Mom left. I almost told her then. Almost. But the thought of giving her hope only for it to collapse again was more than I could risk. So I swallowed it down and let the silence sit between us like poison. By the third day, silence turned to dread. I drove out to the mill lot twice, circling the cracked pavement, waiting for another car to appear. Nothing, just rust and weeds and echoes. I checked my phone every minute, sometimes pressing the screen just to make sure it hadn't frozen, that I hadn't missed something. Nothing. That night, I dreamed of Nadia's voice breaking into static, of her face on the video fading to white. I woke up choking on the emptiness beside me, drenched in sweat. On the fourth day, I finally broke. I dialed the number Ramon had used, straight to voicemail. I tried again, and again, over and over until the automated message felt like mockery. Finally, I smashed the phone onto the table, gripping my head between my hands. My heart pounded so hard I thought it would crack my ribs. Had I traded everything for nothing? Had I fallen for a ghost? The house was quiet. Too quiet. Vera had stopped speaking to me. Earl had stopped knocking on the door. And I was alone again with the silence. Only this time, the silence didn't just feel like grief. It felt like betrayal. By the fifth night, I was sure it was over. The money was gone, my house was gone, and all I had left was a grainy video burned into my mind. I lay on the couch, half drunk, staring at the ceiling, waiting for the final nail. The moment I'd have to accept that I'd been played, that Nadia's ghost had been sold back to me for a price I could never recover. Then the phone buzzed. I sat up so fast the bottle fell to the floor and shattered. Unknown number. Again. I snatched it up, hard in my throat. Ramon. A pause. Then his voice hushed, ragged. Senor Cordell, forgive me. I could not call sooner. It was not safe. I gripped the phone until my knuckles whitened. You disappeared for almost a week. You took my money. Listen. His voice snapped, sharp and desperate. Do you want your wife back or not? I froze. My breath shook. Yes. Then you must trust me. I have Nadia. She is alive. But they moved her. After the last video, they grew suspicious. I had to stay hidden. If they caught me helping, I would be dead already. I closed my eyes, head in my hand. Part of me wanted to believe. Part of me wanted to smash the phone and never hear his voice again. She's alive? I whispered. Right now? Yes, Ramon said quickly. Alive, but listen carefully. The men who keep her, they have grown greedy. They want more. 15,000 was not enough. They demand 50. The words hit like a sledgehammer. 50? I choked. I gave you everything I had. I sold my house. Do you hear me? I have nothing left. You must find a way, Ramon insisted. Sell what you can. Borrow. I will buy time, but it is dangerous. If they believe I am stalling, they will kill her. Do you understand? They will kill Nadia. I pressed my palm to my forehead, breathing hard. 50,000. It wasn't just impossible. It was obscene. I can't, I said. My voice cracked. I can't raise that kind of money. Not in time. You must, Ramon said firmly. Listen to me. Senor Cordell, I will send proof again. You will see her. You will know she is alive. But do not waste this chance. This may be the last. The line went quiet. Then I heard it, muffled, faint, but unmistakable. Mason? Nadia's voice. Fragile, breaking. Mason, please. Then static. The line cut. I sat there in the dark. The phone slipping from my hand. The sound of her voice still echoing in my head. The next morning, Vera found me at the table, staring at the splinter would like it might offer answers. You're scaring me, she said flatly. I looked at her, tried to form words, tried to tell her the truth. But all that came out was a hoarse whisper. I need money. She frowned. For what? I didn't answer. Couldn't. Because how do you tell your daughter the mother she buried is still alive and being held hostage for a price her father will never be able to pay? I was back where I started. Broke. Desperate. Trapped. But this time, I wasn't staring down a gun and a note. This time, I was staring at a bill for $50,000 and the voice of a woman I couldn't let die again.